Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Can You Hear Me podcast. I'm Rob Johnson, president of Rob Johnson Communications.
And I'm Eileen Rochford, CEO of the Harbinger Group. Today, we're going to unpack one of the hottest and possibly most sensitive topics in the workplace right now: how company leaders are communicating about artificial intelligence and what that communication or the lack of it means for employees and their jobs.
Yeah, Eileen, I think I'm so glad we're talking about this because you and I have explored AI on several different occasions here on Can You Hear Me? But it feels like every time I'm reading professional development articles or resources, 6 out of 10 of them are about something related to AI. So it's more than the adoption. It's how do we message it and things of that nature. So let's start with what we're seeing right now. We used to say AI, it's going to be the future trend. Well, it's here. It's already embedded in workflows, tools, and strategy decks. But not every company is actually talking to employees about what this means. Some companies are rolling out AI tools or automation processes, and employees are finding out only when they notice parts of their work are gone or being done by something or someone else. That is the communication gap. When leadership introduces AI but doesn't explain the why, the how, or most importantly, what's next for people, it's going to lead to fear and distrust, or worse, it opens the door to rumors, anxiety, and disengagement. You know what happens when people don't communicate? And we know that when people don't feel secure or informed, productivity tanks and culture takes a hit. There's a lot to unpack there, Eileen. I understand that, but I just wanted to set the tone for what the discussion is going to be about. And again, we get back to communicating is so important. Said the two communication consultants, right? I mean, but it's true. This is a brave new world, and companies are adopting it, and they're trying to figure out how it's going to work in their offices. And when people aren't being communicated with about what their future looks like with AI by their side, things can go kind of haywire.
That's absolutely true, Rob. And there's so much um, fear kind of in people's, hearts and minds right now that it's really good. It's a really good time for us to bring up this subject and just, explore where are those gaps in communications and where are the opportunities for in communications. It's definitely just
I lost the last 15 seconds. I heard you perfect, and then I lost you. I'm hearing like water being poured.
I have I have no idea what's going on.
I was
I'm
like,
so
I'm
sorry.
hearing other things, but not
I
you. And I'm
know.
looking at you, and then I'm hearing like I heard like water being poured. I'm like, what's that?
I have no idea. Sorry. Okay. I'll just have to. Declan, this is your mother apologizing to you for the
Do you
all
want to
like
start? You
really,
want to
really,
just
really awful. What's that?
Do you want to start over? Let's just start over from the top. You want to do that? I
We don't have to
already
do the
read the.
whole thing. You could just do your your.
I don't need to read the. Why don't I just start with hello, I'm Rob. I don't need to read the show description. We already did that.
Oh, okay, sure.
You want to
Sounds
try
good.
that? Okay, okay.
Yeah. And you're able to hear me okay or
I
not?
can hear you okay now. After I heard you fine, and then heard like something weird going on and like water being poured. And I'm sitting there looking at you and I'm not hearing a word out of your mouth, even though I see your lips moving. So right now I'm hearing you. Oh,
You're sure you're hearing me?
I now, okay. Yeah. I was sitting there looking at the script. I'm like, uh-oh, I hear a pause. Is she there?
No, yeah, wow. Today's been fun. Today's been great. I don't know. This is just kind of came out of nowhere. Yes, let's start with hi,
At
I'm
least,
Rob.
at least it's our non-guest episode that we're having this issue with. I'm glad it wasn't with Steven. That could have been worse,
Exactly. I
right?
know. It would have been
Yeah.
terrible.
All right.
That's impossible. What I can't Here's what happened. It switched to my AirPods, even though they're in the case and the case is closed.
Oh, God
What
dang.
the hell?
Wow.
It shouldn't be able to do
It shouldn't
that.
be able to do that, especially when you have, yeah, man.
Okay.
All
Anyway,
right.
we're good.
I'm
Let's just
starting over. I'm starting
yeah.
over.
Yay.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. And then we'll go from there. All right.
Sounds good. Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Are we recording?
Yes.
Okay. Here we go. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Can You Hear Me podcast. I'm Rob Johnson, president of Rob Johnson Communications.
And I'm Eileen Rochford, CEO of the marketing strategy firm, the Harbinger Group. Today, we're going to unpack one of the hottest and most sensitive topics in the workplace right now: how company leaders are communicating about artificial intelligence and what that communication or lack of it means for employees and their jobs.
I'm really glad we're talking about this because I know we've devoted several episodes to AI, but because it's not something down the road, it's here. It's really important that we discuss the communication around AI. So let's start with what we're seeing right now. AI is no longer a future trend. It's here. It is embedded in workflows, tools, even strategy decks. But not every company is actually talking to employees about what this means. Some companies are rolling out AI tools or automation processes, and employees are finding out only when they notice parts of their work are gone or being done by something else. That is a communication gap. I think we would all agree. When leadership introduces AI, but doesn't explain the why or the how, or most importantly, what's next for people, it's going to naturally lead to fear and distrust, or worse, it's going to open the door to rumors, anxiety, disengagement. And we know that when people don't feel secure or informed, productivity tanks and culture takes a hit.
That's right. It's the lack of information um, that I think is causing the worst of the problems. If you ask me, it's just um, because that means that fear has kind of set in. People are just allowing rumors to replace facts, and even if there aren't many facts available, but there's a whole lot of talk about not long from now when GPT-5 is introduced, that what we've been seeing up until now will be nothing compared to what the world's going to be like with GPT-5. And that's a scary, scary thing. And it should be, because, it's the unknown. But I just think that the smarter leaders are going to be thinking big picture and communicating big picture versus, oh, let's just try this tool, and knowing full well that that's going to lead to a change in process, a change in even perhaps how organizations price, charge, for what they do. Um, Clients are going to start asking questions. Customers are going to start asking questions. If leaders aren't supplying information to employees about the repercussions, the implications of what the introductions of various AI tools could mean for both their company inside and the people who work for them, as well as for their customers, they're going to be in a lot of trouble. There's no doubt about it. It's not just about
I think
figuring out how the tools are used in your organization. It's about determining, how do I make sure people know how to use them ethically? How do I make sure our clients' and customers' questions can be answered? All those things need to be on the table now, right away.
and I think the other thing too, Eileen, is sometimes first of all, I've seen clients, I'm sure you have too. They have marketing departments and they say, hey, we're having meetings about AI, what our strategy for 2026 is going to be. And so here are people, say, in a marketing department, who are going to have a meeting with their boss about how they're going to roll it out. And you have to be excited about, oh, we're going to have all these different tools at our disposal, but nobody's talking about whether your role, whether
Mhm.
some of the responsibilities you have or your entire job could be eliminated. Now, you and I've talked before about how we're paid for our ideas and how AI is revolutionary, but there always needs to be checks and balances. And I still feel that way several years into this AI journey that everybody's been on. I still feel that way, knowing that some of the capabilities are increasing, 1,000-fold. There still needs to be checks and balances. But can you imagine how awkward that is for that marketing department that I was talking about to be talking about how they're going to use AI in the future and how you may or may not be working alongside it?
So awkward. I mean, God, what is it? The 800-pound gorilla in the
Yeah.
middle of the living room, right?
Yeah.
Wow. And how thoughtless, frankly, for any organization to be having conversations like that without having first explained, here's our intent for the use of AI and what the repercussions might be for our staffing. Yeah, that's pretty thoughtless. So yeah, the looming question, will I be replaced? That's totally
Hmm.
not irrational.
Right. Right.
We've already seen examples where AI, it's automating, many parts of our marketing jobs, certainly things like coding, and the worst, in my opinion, customer service. The
Yeah.
number of places that I've personally interacted with as a customer recently who say, "Oh, this is Shirley, your AI assistant. How can I help you?" When you call,
Yeah.
um, has skyrocketed in the last even 2 months. So that transition to customer service is very, very real. But particularly in the jobs that you and I do and the company that I run, writing,
Yeah.
um, more I'm seeing, and we see it just on social, the terrible writing that AI is
Yeah.
producing, and that people are thinking this is acceptable and they're using it in their marketing. It's astonishing to me that that would be permitted, just to save on some staffing time. So, um, at the end of the day, though, yes, jobs are going to change. I think what we should be thinking about is job transformation.
That's
It,
right.
it very well may change what our roles look like, the skills we each need to have, to bring to the table when we're doing our job, even the people we collaborate with to do our job. So there's a lot to absorb. People definitely need a lot of time to reflect, support, but mostly adapt. The speed that this is
Hmm.
these tools are being incorporated into our jobs are not allowing for just human beings to adapt and organizations to adapt. So there's definitely, kind of a storm brewing in that respect, if you ask me.
No.
But mostly, if leaders just start communicating regularly with empathy and being very clear, clarity is essential when massive transformational change is happening. Those people are going to leave everyone to connect the dots on their own. And let's face it, when humans fill in the blanks, they tend to assume the absolute worst is going to happen. The
It's
very
human nature.
Yeah, it is. It's human nature. So there's so much more to think about than just, oh, how can I save time, create efficiencies, save money by using AI? If you intend to do that, then thinking through the repercussions of your choices and informing your people. Here's what it's going to mean. We may be shifting you to other departments. We may be creating new jobs for you because there's an opportunity for us to provide higher levels of service, more creativity and strategy time versus before when we were pressed for time to be able to do that, by allowing AI tools to bring more efficiency, lower value tasks, repetitive tasks, so that more creativity, more strategy, more ideation can take place. Phenomenal. That's great. But tell everyone that's what you're going to do, not just leave that void for, fear to fill in.
I'm really glad you brought up customer service and writing when you were talking about some of the tools where AI has been common in various companies. And I would say this, that customer service. Yes, I'm your AI assistant. This and that is like the exact opposite, I think, of what people want. They know they call and they get a call center and whatever the case is, and it might be overseas or this or that. But I still think in certain instances, you're looking for efficiencies and you're going to find them. I understand that. I don't
Mhm.
know that that's a real differentiator right now in a positive way. And when it comes to the writing, you're absolutely correct that I see some of the writing and I see people all the time. Some might be clients, some might be people I come across in business, and they're like, oh, I just plugged it in AI. It cranked out all this. And it's like, yeah, but you gotta
It's
look at it. It's
repetitive. It's
okay. It's
vanilla.
okay.
It's
It's
yeah,
very vanilla.
lacks any
And I would say
personality.
this, I love writing and I feel blessed that it's really easy for me to do. I love that process of writing. And I know that when I'm writing for clients something specific that I'm going to give more detail and more authenticity to their messaging than AI is going to, even though I know AI can be a huge time saver in other areas. So I'm glad you brought those things up because I know, yeah, Chat GPT-5 is coming and it's going to revolutionize everything. And it's already revolutionized so many things out there from a productivity standpoint and a content standpoint. But if you think that you can just turn it all over to AI to solve all your problems, you are still, I think, sorely mistaken.
I agree with you 100%. I don't think there's a marketer out there who has seen anything produced that's written um, through an AI tool at the first crack that's worth much at all. In
Right.
all sincerity, it doesn't matter how good your prompts are or the research that you feed it. It still is going to contain mistakes. It's going to contain a lack of creativity, personality. Even if you tell it, here's my brand guide, here's my tone, here's the words we don't use, the words we do use. All of that can be fed into an AI tool and it still will not in any way match what a great human writer can do. That's just the
That's
truth. Yeah.
I
And
agree.
honestly, organizations that embrace that will end up being the winners because they'll reshuffle to leverage some of the efficiencies that AI can bring, particularly in marketing.
Hmm.
And that's great. But by doing so, they'll win if they shift all of that additional resource into great human writers because they will stand out every single day
Yeah.
against the morass of generic writing. And
It's so generic.
it's
It's
so,
so there's just not
doesn't it
it's
just
like
make you feel so sad?
it's like swimming in a 2-inch pool, 2 inches of water. It's like it's
Yeah.
so shallow.
Yeah. So there's that. I mean, I just
Yeah.
think that there's going to be kind of a boomerang, hopefully, of coming back,
Right.
because organizations are going to realize, God, this sounds awful. And if we really want to capture people's imaginations and hearts, we want a human to do that content, and
S-
we will just stand out and look better every time.
Absolutely. And so we've identified the issue here, and I think we framed it pretty well. But the question people who are listening may be asking themselves is, what should leaders be doing now? So let's start here. Honesty and transparency. Heard it before? Yeah, because we talk about it all the time. If AI is going to impact roles in your company, you have to talk about it early. You can't wait until there's a riff, a reorg, a layoff, whatever, and you have to add context. Don't just say we're adopting AI. Say we're bringing in this tool to streamline X, for example. Here's what it means for the team. Here's how we're supporting you as we make this shift. That brings us to another point, which is focus on people development. You've talked about it a little bit already, Eileen. Employees want to hear we're investing in upskilling. We believe in your ability to grow alongside the technology, not be replaced by it. The companies that are doing this well are offering training sessions. They're creating internal AI literacy programs. They're actively mapping out how roles may evolve. And they're not just talking at people, they're holding forums. They're getting actual feedback. How about that?
Yep, that's the way to do it. Absolutely. So if you haven't started down that path yet, incorporate all of those steps and things should turn out much better for you.
Yeah, and again, the point I was just making too, you can't just sit here and just clam up when people are searching for information. And I know that when you're in leadership at a company, you can't give them all the keys to the kingdom. You're not going to tell them every single thing that's going on. But to the degree that you can, you must communicate meaningfully and openly and transparently with everyone. And again, don't wait until the other shoe's dropped and there's a layoff. And like,
Hmm.
oh, here it is. You need to
Yeah.
be taking people along with you on this ride.
Hmm. And if there ever was a time to push the envelope in terms of what can you communicate, what could you communicate, I suggest now is that time versus playing everything, close to the vest. Um, like you said, sometimes you have to do that. You can't tell everyone everything, but this is the time when you probably should be sharing a bit more. Meaning, yeah, if things are going to shift, if you're going to be creating new departments where people can be, their talents can be upskilled and moved into a new, perhaps higher service level department that you're creating, tell them that.
Yeah.
They may even be super, super excited about it. Like, oh, this is great. I get to do more of the things that I'm exceptionally good at.
Yeah.
Wonderful. And you're going to teach me how to incorporate some of these tools to make me be able or help me be able to do this work even more effectively than I'm able to do on my own.
I have
Fantastic.
to
I'd
it's
be really
very
excited to
exciting.
wake up every day.
Don't
Yeah,
you don't you like um being able to use it in ways that make your organization more efficient, more nimble?
I
I
do.
love, I mean, so I would say that I don't incorporate it for every single thing I do, but I do incorporate it in certain areas.
Yeah.
I really like it. I do, but I like
It's
it with,
awesome.
fences up.
So many fences and deciding, what tasks, what higher value things that you do that you are compensated for are
Hmm.
human first versus AI first. Make those decisions because there are a lot of things that just sound good, but when you actually start with AI first, you end up having to do more work because it's a it's a jumble of information that a human could have synthesized and organized pretty quickly, and gotten you a lot closer to your bullseye than you
Hmm.
got. So you have to decide what are the
For
things
sure.
that are better to do with humans first. I love it for um, knowledge sharing. Example: when we have weekly meetings with clients and we discuss very specific things on our agendas, it doesn't make any sense to have every team member who might work on that account attend that hour-long meeting every single week and then charge the client for that. That's bananas. We don't do that. We use tools. Tactic is the one that we use. It recaps the meetings, and then anything can do this. Zoom, there's a billion of them. Everybody's heard of them.
Yep.
But the ability to just ask questions using the AI assistant within the one we use, Tactic, means that I can, within 10 minutes of that meeting ending, create the synopsis, identify the important insights, like light bulb moments that came out of the meeting.
Yeah.
So highlight those so people can see, oh, we just learned this thing. Don't use this word or don't do this new thing that the client told us. Great. Call those out. And then very specific assignments by person and function. Here are the next steps. Move these things forward in these ways. And I can click a button and then that creates a son of tasks out of it.
That's
So it's
awesome.
an incredible, fusing of those two platforms. That's like 3 hours of work saved out of the gate every single week.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I love the efficiencies too. It's very helpful, and I have my own meeting note taker as well. I think everybody does, as you
Yeah.
should, and it really does help to have a transcript of it, to have a video of it, to be able to get the action items that need to come out of that meeting. I just love having that is a huge time saver, and I agree with that.
Mm. One thing I'll just say though, I mean, sometimes we run, I actually game it. Like we have three different things working for us, three different AI platforms like Gemini Note Taker
Hmm.
and the transcript from Tactic and something else. I forget
Yeah.
what the third is. But when we compare them and see, there are some drastic differences in what gets captured and
Okay.
what conclusions are drawn by those different tools as what were the important outcomes from this meeting.
Yes.
It can be drastically different, which just in and of itself tells
It's
you.
kind of fascinating.
Yeah, well, it's like if 3 different humans, I guess, attended a meeting, their notes might be, significantly different. Some could be better, some could really suck or be just inaccurate.
Yeah.
So, but you have to check and, so I always bake in time immediately following a meeting to look at it and X out, slash out anything that's just, embarrassingly wrong because often those get shared, with your clients who participated. So I was trying make sure we correct them before just taking it as gospel because they're not right 99% of the time. They're not 100% right.
Of
It's
course.
a really, really important thing. Let's get back to this thing about how do we communicate about
Oh
this?
yes. Yes. Oh
Yeah,
yeah. Oh
that's
yeah.
what
That.
we were. That's what we said. It's what we promised to our listeners.
Yeah.
So you did a really nice job before I took us off on a tangent. I'm excellent at that. Framing the right way to communicate. Let's now examine some of the bigger mistakes that we're seeing.
Right.
So, first up, um, all of the jargon laden, buzzword heavy communication, like we're leaving, or sorry, we're leveraging generative AI to enable enhanced synergies. What? Okay, sure, I guess.
Yeah.
No one's gonna understand you. They will have absolutely no idea what you're talking about.
That's not saying anything.
No. So translation might be in their heads. We're not
Yeah.
sure yet.
Maybe.
Like these words because they make me sound smart, I think. Yeah, we know that's not right. Another huge mistake is silence. Some leaders think, well, we don't really know what our full AI plan is yet, so we can't say anything until we're 100% certain. Also a huge mistake. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
If you don't say anything, um, silence in itself, as everybody knows, that's still communication. And usually it communicates that fear issue that we've already raised in this convo. It also communicates avoidance. It communicates lack of strategy or just you don't know what the heck you're doing. That's bad. So I think if you're going to choose anything, you want to shut down speculation.
Sure.
Last example is any communication that lacks empathy, because this is a very human moment, even though it's an AI moment, because there's the tension between so AI, the adoption of it anyway, like just a tech upgrade instead of this is a massive impact on people and in some cases, a wholesale shift of entire industries and the jobs that people were doing. So anybody who just kind of leaves that part out, they're missing the emotional side of the equation, and that makes me sad. And it's a big, big, big error, in my opinion.
Well, it's been one of the areas we've talked about since day one relative to AI, Eileen, which is, you know, it's you have this machine that's doing all this machine learning and they're making things more efficient and they can crank out things, at a moment's notice. Doesn't mean it's right. Doesn't
Mm,
mean, you do lose that human connectivity. And I think that when you do that, you're getting away from, if you're a company that has any sort of, that cares about the emotional side of the equation, you're losing some of the humanity. And so if that matters to you, then that's going down a wrong path. If it doesn't matter to you, then knock yourself out. Just follow the lead of something that may or may not be correct. It may or may not be in the context that you want it written or said in. And, good luck.
yes, good luck. The chickens will come home to roost, as they always do.
Yeah, yes, they will. Yes, they will. But does that make sense, though? I mean, because you're bringing up something very important, which is, and again, it's why we think that there are roles for people like us and other marketers in the AI world
Mhm.
because you can learn new skills or you can hone the ones you already have or you can adjust and shift. But it's more than just hey, that's going to replace that person because right now it hasn't proven its ability to do that.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. And there's so many questions that most of us have, should have. Like, so how are we going to check for the errors?
Yeah.
How is that being done? Basically, quality control. It's like, the introduction of anything into, the manufacturing or, other realms like that. Where's your quality control? How will you know? Is that accurate? What's the double check? What were the sources? You really have to tell your people, here are the, three things that we are going to utilize consistently across the board in our processes to ensure that the information that comes out of any artificial intelligence tool is accurate. You owe that to anyone you're working with, that
You
you've
sure do.
put that in place. So teaching everyone how they can do that and will do that is a big part of the communication, in my opinion.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, Eileen, here at Can You Hear Me? We always identify the issue. We just said what we thought were the right and the wrong ways to go about it here. But we also like to offer what? Solutions. So
Always. Yeah.
we're forward thinking. What can leaders do to improve how they're communicating about AI? Start with listening, which is always a great idea, no matter what you're talking about, AI or otherwise. What are your people worried about? What don't they understand? Then meet them where they are. Be an adaptive leader. Next, you need to map out your messaging. Where are you today with AI? Where are you headed? How will it impact people in each department? And communicate consistently. This is not AI. It's not a one-time announcement. Ta-da, here's what we're doing,
Mm-mm.
and then it's over. You have to make it part of the ongoing dialogue about your strategy and your values and your culture. Employees don't expect you to have all the answers, but they do know when they see transparency. They do expect honesty, empathy. And if they can get a seat at the table as change happens and be part of the solution, that's even better for them, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Absolutely. Yeah. Some have argued that this shift is akin to, frankly, any change management adoption
Mm-hmm.
in an organization. So, if that being the case, frequent, consistent, transparent communication is essential for your success if you're going to go down this path. I mean, anyone who has been in business long enough, particularly in communications, knows that we're at the point where communication, to those of us who are going to, are charged with adopting these different tools, these different ways of doing things.
Mm-hmm.
Um, this is If we don't have the information that we need to be successful, the whole thing's going to fall apart.
That's true. It
Yeah.
really is.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, AI is any AI that you adopt, is just a tool. It's not much more than that. And how we choose to talk about it and how we support our people through it, even our customers and our clients through it, is what will define the future of work. And whether, I think it's going to separate the organizations that are successful from those who aren't, during this massive shift. And that's a leadership opportunity, not just for C suites and tech leads, but for anyone who's guiding a team through change.
And you're talking so eloquently about change management, and this is just one example of it. Change is hard to talk about in an organization, and if you're not out front communicating, whether it's AI or otherwise, other changes going on in your organization, you're going to get left behind. You're not going to have the maximum impact that you want to have for your organization, because people who don't feel like they're part of the solution, people who don't feel like they are, you know, in on decision making and in on, the future, and some of them
Hmm.
might not be, but a lot of them may be, you're going to blunt your impact for trying to guide change in your organization.
Yeah. So stop whatever you're planning for AI and start to think about, how am I going to communicate about
Yeah.
AI?
I think it's
let's
I think
let's try
it's
that.
I think it's so important. Well, we've given you a lot to think about here today. And truly, that's one of the fascinating things about AI, as we talked about earlier. There's so many different areas that you can bring it up and discuss it where it's relevant in your place of work. But I hope that some of this was helpful to you. I hope you got some good ideas. I hope we leave you with some action items that will help you be successful communicating the AI change in your organization, right?
Right.
Well, that's going to do it for another edition of Can You Hear Me? I'm Rob Johnson. If you would like to comment on the podcast or suggest a topic, please contact us at our Can You Hear Me podcast page, where you can find it on LinkedIn.
And I'm Eileen Rochford. If you like what you heard, please consider giving our show, Can You Hear Me, a positive review wherever you get your podcasts, like Apple or Spotify, because your reviews help other listeners discover our show. Thanks so much for listening.